This is an interview for the Eat Street Oral History Project sponsored by the Whittier Alliance. It is Tuesday, May 2nd, 2017, and I'm here at Guang Restaurant on Nicollet Avenue with Michael Tran and Lung Tran, who are brother and sister,
Yes.
and whose family owns and operates the restaurant. Brad Baker is video recording the interview. My name is Kim Hakala. I own and operate Spotlight Oral History, and today I'll be talking to Michael and Lung about the family background, the history of Guang, and being part of Eat Street. So welcome, both of you, and thank you so much for agreeing to do this. Really
Thank you, you
appreciate
too.
it. So I'm just going to have you start, excuse me.
Can we get this out of here?
Sure.
Sorry.
Hang on to it.
Go ahead.
I'm just going to have you start, if you would, by both of you stating and spelling your names.
My last name Tran, T-R-A-N. First name Michael, middle initial Duc, D-U-C. Michael Duc Tran. When I become American citizen.
And Lung?
Yeah, my last name T A N
Okay.
and my first name L U N G.
L-U-N-G.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And so we are here in your restaurant at Guang. Can you tell me the current address of the restaurant?
2719 Nicollet Avenue, South Minneapolis, MN 55408.
Okay, and we'll come back to some of these questions in more detail, so don't worry about it. But can you tell me when you first opened the restaurant?
First opened in 1989 across street from this. Yeah, we rented little place across street.
Okay, and do you remember the address over there?
Chế có nhớ
Cho anh
cái
nha, thôi cũng con đường này thôi này thế 134.
2734 Nicholas Avenue South across street from this address.
Okay, and when did you move here?
Chế mua đây giờ đây 1999 phải không? 99 1999. It's 1999.
99. Okay.
We moved from across street.
Okay. And do either or both of you live in Whittier, or do you live somewhere else?
She lived in Minneapolis. I used to live in California.
And do you live in Minneapolis now?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And just, again, I know the answer to some of these things, but I'm going to ask them anyway. How do you identify yourself racially or ethnically? What is your background?
Our background is considered like Vietnamese because we both born in Vietnam, but our root from great parent from China.
Okay. So you have some ethnic
Yeah,
Chinese.
yeah.
Okay. All right. So I will ask these questions of both of you, and you may both answer as you see fit. Can you tell me a little bit about when and where you were born?
My sister, she was born in 1949. I was born in 1954 in Vietnam.
Well, that was a big year in Vietnam, 1954.
Yeah, that the country split two parts.
Yeah.
Geneva, side on that year.
Yep. And the French were
Yeah,
on their way out.
that's right.
Okay. And how many other children were there in your family?
My parents have, 8 of us. My sister is the oldest one. I'm number 6. We got all together is 6 sisters, 2 brothers. Me and my younger brother.
Okay. And where in Vietnam did you grow up?
We grew up in further south next to Cambodia border called Rat Ya, or ACHGIA.
Rock
That's
Ya.
the province.
Okay. And that's
Rat Ya.
that's right on the coast.
Yes,
down there,
yes.
isn't it? On the
Next
water?
to Cambodia border.
Okay, so it's way south and
Yeah, way south.
west. Okay. And this, again, you spoke Vietnamese at home, I assume. Did you speak other languages?
You know, strictly Vietnamese, but I mean, with my niece, nephew, my son, I have to carry on English.
Okay.
They can understand English more than Vietnamese.
Okay. All right. So when you were children in Vietnam, in Rac Ya, what did your parents do? How did they earn a living?
Well, then great parent and transfer to my dad. They just like a farmer. They just family farm. It's not a big farm like U.S. Small farm.
Okay. And that was something your grandparents had done
Yes.
as well. So they
Yes.
had been in the area and
Yes, they've been on like third generation. I'm a fourth generation.
okay. Okay. This is a big question, so answer it as big or as small as you'd like. But how did the war affect your family, and do you remember it from when you were children?
Yes, I don't know, if, further than that, but since I born in 1974, when I 4 years old, that 1959, then I start to memory. On that period of time, the war is not that bad. But talk to 1963, after the Ngô Đình Diệm, the president, was assassinated, and the war, start to, getting bigger and bigger, up to 1975, April 30th.
And tell us what happened on April 30th, 1970.
Well, to be honest with you, like on that time, we cannot sleep without listen the cannon shoot or the bombing. Every single day, we saw the soldier will die, and this member had been chopped, arm, leg, blood shattered all over the place.
For years,
Yes,
up until
yes,
that.
up to 75.
And so obviously then the war was in Rakia. I mean, it came to where you lived.
We live the same place. We live the same place in Rac Ya province. And even my brother-in-law, that her husband, he was in the local soldier.
He did serve.
Yep.
Okay.
He's up to 1975, April 30th.
Okay. Okay. And so, Long, when did you marry your husband? Do you remember?
Chị có nhớ không? Không nhớ thì tôi nhớ.
Năm 18 tuổi là bên cái là
She got married when she was 18 years old.
18, so.
You start to count from 49 plus
so
another
67.
somewhere in there. Somewhere in there.
That's my math.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. She got married 2 years.
Okay. And what did your husband do for work or to earn a living?
thì
Bà nói là hỏi chế khi lúc đó thì chồng chế làm cái gì? Let me answer, because I remember that
Yeah,
time, we live in the same, village. Then he just like the fisherman.
He fished. He was a fisherman.
Yeah. And then he was trapped into the army.
He was drafted.
Yeah, he was drafted. Tức là
Okay.
bị động viên đó, đi vào the lính.
rồi đi luôn tới năm 75.
Then he was trapped, then gone to the army until, April 30th, 1975.
And so were you married at the time he was drafted?
Yes, he was.
So already married?
Yeah.
Okay. And any idea what year that would have been that he was drafted?
Let's say, since, like after he married and he was trapped about, let's say 67, like about 2 years after that.
Okay, so 69
Yes,
or
yes, somewhere in there.
Somewhere in
there,
there.
yeah.
Okay. And for those of you who were still at home,
Yes.
not serving.
Yes, I'm
as well.
myself still in high school.
You were still, so
Yeah.
you were young.
Yeah.
So how was the war disruptive to your daily life?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Then, people just, start to get worried and nervous. Then even my brother-in-law, we just worry him every single night. When he come home, then we're happy on that moment. We don't know next day what it look like. Because we saw a lot of soldiers get killed during the war.
Soldiers from all
Yeah,
sides.
all kind.
Now I know that the war in Vietnam, the U.S. war in Vietnam, was very controversial here, and I know by definition it was controversial there because there were two sides warring against each other. Did your family have particular allegiances? What did you think about the war? Who was right? What
Okay,
side were
to
you
be
on?
honest with you, like people have different opinion about the war. But myself, then I can see after the war end, then my recall, then I feel sorry for American young soldier who were trapped and sent in there. That's why I value the freedom is a high. Then, I hate to say that, but nothing but the true and whole truth. Communist is self-talk, good propaganda, talk people, make people and self-hurt. But the way they do is different, totally reversely. Can you imagine when the war ends, the good citizen, innocent people have no right to go to store and buy the meter of fabric to sew in their own short pants. Everything is controlled. Everything is have to get a permit to buy it. If you are not good, Communist Party or member, you're not allowed. Then I feel that time I used to be ran, and met some of the American young, soldier there. They just give me like a chewing gum. I feel very good. Then I'm just wonder why they are here. But after, too many years, the war end, then I can understand the deep meaning and behind scene of the truth, what it was. People get different opinion. People can think, good or bad. But to me, the truth can never cover it up. Just like between you and me. If I don't want to give an answer, I can give you too many good excuses. If I'm more than happy to be honest and give you, you don't have to, insist me or you asking for. The truth can never cover it up. Myself, I do believe, under the sunshine, everything can be discovered. That's exactly what happened today.
So besides your husband, Quang, well, there were 6 girls and 2 boys in your family, and you were young, so you were in high school when the war was happening. Were there any other family members, cousins, uncles, or even some girls who were part of the war effort who were fighting?
Yes. To be honest with you, every family in South Vietnam, they have at least 1 or 2 people join in the army. That average 70% the family get either their son, contribute, get killed, or dismember on that war.
70%.
70%, I would say that.
So during the war years and after you married, you were having, most of your children were born in Vietnam, except for the youngest.
Yes.
Right, your Lung's youngest
Yes, Michael
son.
Trung is born
Michael.
in St. Cloud.
Okay, in St. Cloud.
Yeah.
Right. So that means what, you have 7 children altogether, is that right?
Yes, she has 7 of them.
Okay, and so 6 of those kids were born in
In Vietnam, right.
while the war was happening, or maybe even in the camps?
We remember, we just make strong decision to get out there, ran into the boat and sail into, the ocean. We don't know what direction we go into. We don't know where we end up, for resettlement. All we just know, we cannot stand it. We have to get out the country. Then lucky us, we got robbed by the parade, Thailand parade, but we still alive, end up to West Malaysia. The village called Merang village
Okay.
in the state of Terengganu in West
Okay.
Malaysia.
Okay. And how many of your family went? How many of there were you?
Okay, let's see. My sister family, she and her husband, that time, plus me, my ex-wife, and my younger brother. Then total like eight on her. Then myself, my brother, and my ex-wife. Then
So
talk
11?
about 11.
11 people. And you were all on the same
On the boat, the boat it carry 47.
So you were about a quarter,
Yeah.
almost a quarter.
Right. But I mean, this is our boat where after we got, period, then one girl was, kidnapped and took away. That means we end up with 46 left in Malaysia. We start with 47. One girl, took away from the period.
And so how did you find this boat? Like, how did you find this boat?
Okay, this is interesting.
Yeah.
We not find the boat. Then her husband brother got another brother-in-law. We planning for it. Then he paid for that boat in a year before. We planning to escape. But that time we have to be kept secret. Nobody tell anybody no until the last minute say, yes, you go, no, you stay. That's it.
So it had been in the works for a while, but nobody
keep-
knew.
yeah.
I mean, it was secret. And how long after April 30th, 1975 was this that you all found yourselves on this boat getting out?
Okay, let's see. We left 78.
In 78?
We left
Okay.
in 78, April 78.
Okay. So almost 3 years
Yeah.
after?
Yes.
Okay.
But we got almost a year to plan ahead. That my brother-in-law and his brother. The reason is like they make strong decision than I do. My brother-in-law, then his family will escape from China, communists, went into Vietnam. Then she got all kind of bad experience. That's why the time come and the plan there, then she make decision, better get out. A lot of people in South Vietnam did not have that experience. They may hesitate it. Yeah, maybe not bad. Maybe they okay.
But she knew.
But she knew.
She had
And
that.
she passed away. She been here, like she passed away. Bà già chết bao lâu rồi chứ?
1990.
She passed in 1990. She did not speak Vietnamese well. Just she could talk, but it's a funny accent.
Mấy bà đã
Then
ở
she
đây.
had the experience try to escape from communists. She encouraging us.
Mà nó
To
con
leave.
cháu không có tiến bộ được, không có sống với cộng sản được thì bà kêu mình đi.
That's the only decision being advised and made by, my brother, mother. She got experience, best experience. They moved from China since the time communists took over.
Right, so the communists take over in China in 1949,
Yeah,
so she was
yeah.
there for that
Yeah.
and knew
That,
she didn't want to stick
Yeah,
around
yeah.
for it in Vietnam.
even myself, to be honest with you, like a lot of people, they try to say that American is a devil, American is such and such. But I mean, like, even right now, I'm found out why you guys say that. Why South and North Vietnam united? And you are the good communist party with the high rank officer, then why don't you guys stay there? Why you send your brother and daughter come over U.S., try to take education and intend to stay here? What it for?
So even
Even now-
the people, the communists
Right,
in Vietnam
right.
are still sending their
Right,
kids
most
here.
of the high rank officer, Communist Party in Vietnam right now send their daughter and son come to U.S., as much they could. Then after, they got graduate, they intend to stay here by certain form. I hate to say that. If they have to fake paperwork, they have to pay for it, they do it. That's the fact. I'm not just making it up. I'm not talk ill about that. That's the fact. If you conduct your self-investigation, that's why I'm wondering, hey, you told us it's a betray the country. You told us it's a bad guy. You told us it's, why, just kiss the American toe. Then now your guy did that.
All these years later,
Yes,
after having
yes,
won the
yes,
war,
yes.
and there's
Nothing but the truth. I know. I'm talking to you today. I'm not hesitant. I know if they know me talk like that, they may not like it. But what else I can say? Nothing but the truth and whole truth.
so you see some hypocrisy there,
Yes.
or perhaps a change of heart. All right. So tell me about the camp in Malaysia. How long were you there?
We were there, like my sister family, came from there. Then they lived from April to December 1978. Then I left there on April 2nd, on 1979.
Okay. So you left there.
Yeah,
you
I'm
left
after.
the camp
I'm after.
several months
Yeah,
after Lung
yes,
and her
yeah,
family
yeah.
did. Why the difference in departure?
Because he has the priority as a soldier. Because on the camp, the selection and based on the, people got the priority, selected by American government and United Nations.
Okay, so Guang, because he
Yeah,
had served,
yeah.
was able to bring
Yep.
Lung and the 6 kids here.
Yeah,
And then
and
you-
plus he is, was in the army.
Right,
Yeah.
right,
He fight in the war.
right.
That's the priority been selected that way too.
Okay. And so how did you end up and I know both of you are in California for a while, but first stop is Minnesota.
No, she's not in California.
Oh, okay. Not at all?
Later, yes.
Yes,
yeah.
later.
But I mean, like, how that work.
Yeah.
Like, nobody know who going to sponsor, go to where. Just like France, Australia, and, Norway. I mean, we call the third country, go to the camp and select, the based on the list. reported by U.S. nation, and we have no way to know. Then randomly sponsor, her family was sponsored by the Lutheran Church. By the Catholic Church. Then I was sponsored by, the other one. That's how they pre-select where to resettle for us. We have no choice.
So, and am I remembering this correctly, that Long and her family ended up in St. Cloud?
Yes,
first?
yes.
Because
at
that's where the
first.
sponsor.
That's right.
Where
That-
that church was.
That's right.
Okay. And that was a Catholic church
Yes,
in St. Cloud?
yes.
And you ended up where?
They call IRC. That means Rescue International Committee.
Okay.
That's a voluntary, league. They sponsor, randomly. They get picked. We don't know. We just know, go, follow their order. I remember like the agency called ICM. I don't know. I don't remember that the abbreviation ICM mean, but that anybody you can see the back. With ICM, Henry, hand carry went on the flight. Then go to the airport. Then somebody wait for us there and pick us up and took us to the house or apartment they've been arranged already.
Okay. So, and you can, I would like both of you to respond to this if you could. What was it like adjusting to life in the U.S.?
Bạn muốn nói là cả hai đấy thì Chế nghĩ khi bắt đầu tới Mỹ đó thì làm sao mà Chế có thể hòa nhập được với cái đời sống ở đây. Chế có thể trả lời còn nếu không thì...
Là thì mình chấp nhận rồi, mình là nói bằng mọi cách mình cũng phải đi làm để mình sống, chứ còn ở đâu cũng phải làm. Đó là mình chạy cộng sản thì mình phải chấp nhận là dầu mà việc gì làm được mình cũng làm hết.
She said like it's a little bit hard from begin with, but we have no choice because we moved from the other country to U.S. We have to sacrifice and do whatever it takes to make the better living or condition of living.
And so, Long, you and your family arrived in Minnesota in the winter. Right.
Bà nói là đến giờ mùa đông. Yes.
What was your impression of winter in
Bà nói là
Minnesota?
lúc đó Chế có thấy cái mùa đông ở đây đẹp không?
Thấy mùa đông ở
thích
đây
không?
là lạnh quá nhưng mà phải chấp nhận rồi, không có cái người ta đã bông xô mình qua thì mình không có nghĩ là mình đi đâu nữa, mình đã chấp nhận ở mùa đông rồi, buồn khóc nhưng mà cũng chấp nhận ở đây.
She said at first the winter is not, she have no idea it's no pretty at all. Then she from the warm country, but end up with sponsor there, then have no other choice. Either you like it or not.
Doesn't matter,
Yeah.
right? That's where you end up.
Yep. Myself is a little bit better than, to be honest with you, at least, I can end up first we settle in Orange County, California. It's warm, it's nice and beautiful.
So at least
Yes.
the weather was
Yes,
familiar
yes.
somewhat. But here, the weather's not. Did you speak English at all?
Okay, to be honest with you, my sister, she doesn't have a chance, go to school. Even Vietnamese, writing still very limited. I'm lucky than her. I was sent to school in Vietnam, and I know some.
So you were learning some English
Yep,
in
yep.
school in Vietnam.
Yes, when I was in high school, English is a second language there. Then I remember all I learned from the book called English for Today, 1, 2, 3. Every high school, student there, if selected the foreign language, that time we have two choice. Either you choose the first priority English, then French is the second. If somebody choose French is a priority and English will be second. But that time I choose English is my primary. That I know some.
And now, did your husband Long, did he speak English?
No,
So-
no.
No, and the kids were little. So, can you tell me roughly the years that your children were born?
Okay, the first one then you were born in 1968.
Không.
Đúng rồi, không phải.
No,
66. 66. That means she married 1965.
Okay.
Yeah, 65. That 66, the first child were born, and the number 6, were born, just like 6
Yep.
months years old. You start to add on
Okay.
every 1 or 2 years
Okay.
apart.
Okay. All right. So number 6, and then Michael was born
Michael 79.
79 in St. Cloud.
Yes.
Okay. 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 So, when you arrived in St. Cloud, what did you and your husband do to earn a living?
Bà nói lúc mà ở Saint Cloud thì chế làm cái gì và anh hai làm cái gì? Thì chế để tôi nói, tôi nhớ cái đó.
Nên giờ anh hai làm hãng gà,
À.
chế thì đi may cho cái Tyler shop.
Okay, that time my brother-in-law, he worked for the chicken processing plant. Then my sister, she worked as the tailor shop to, handcuff and, for the pen and
Okay. And so you were both working and raising 7 kids in St. Cloud.
Bà nói là lúc đó là hai vợ chồng đi làm để nuôi 7 đứa con. Yes, she did.
That sounds very busy, to say the least.
Bà nói là rất là bận rộn. Yes, it sure.
What were the biggest challenges for you in adjusting to life here in Minnesota?
Bà hỏi là cái điều gì là một cái trở ngại lớn và một cái điều mà thích thú khi mà hòa nhập cái xã hội Mỹ?
Nay một cái điều trở ngại lớn là chế không có biết tiếng Mỹ. Còn điều thích thú là để cho con nó đi học. Đó là cái điều thích là con nó được đi học. Đầu óc nó thoải mái.
Okay, she said like 2 things. The great thing is in U.S., this is the land of opportunity for all her children get a chance to go to school. And the biggest, she and her husband have to struggle is the communication. Other than that, trade up with the land of opportunity for her, children future.
So it was a fair
Yep.
trade.
More than fair.
More than fair. And you had been working people at home, and so it wasn't unfamiliar to come and work hard to earn a living.
Bà nói là lúc đó đó là chế có thấy rằng cái chuyện làm như vậy là rất là cực khổ để kiếm tiền cho cái đời sống không?
Nay chế thì chế biết là không cực nhưng mà không có buồn, không có thấy buồn, không có gì chân á.
She says, yeah, working hard, but she happy. Earning that
Đủ
money
ăn, đủ sống rồi đó.
is very happy.
Không có
So
nghe tiếng súng chặt nữa là thấy vui rồi.
She said like stop hearing the cannon shoot and stop seeing the bloodshed. That's the most happy.
So work, not a concern. Happy to be doing that, happy for the chances for your kids, and just to be out of a war zone and out of a communist country.
Bà hỏi là Lúc đó đó thì cái chuyện mà làm việc cực khổ đối với chế không phải là vấn đề, mà vấn đề là chế cảm thấy sung sướng khi đã ngừng nghe tiếng súng và đã get out khỏi cái xứ cộng sản. Yes, she said, yeah, that's the most she, happy, just like you drop with the question.
So now I think from when Sen and I spoke a couple months ago, am I correct in understanding that you, Lung, and your family did go to California where you were for a while?
Yes. Let me tell you what. That time I was in California when my brother-in-law passed away. I'm very sorry. I'm just keep crying inside. Then I went up here. After cremate my brother-in-law, I holding the urn back to California, put him in the temple. Then I tried to, take my sister and her children down to California to live with me. But down there, then, California is a living environment. It's not quiet and calm like Minnesota. 6 months down there, then she make decision to back to
Mấy đứa con chế cứ đi
Minneapolis
về,
again.
đi về học trên đây.
And so what year was it that she was down there, that you were down there with your kids in California?
1985,
No,
85.
không. No,
1985.
không phải.
Chế xuống đó 1985 đúng.
No, 1983 anh hai chết
Dạ.
thì tháng 10 là chế đi rồi.
Tháng 10 chế.
Tháng 10 đi California rồi. 1980.
Oh no, sorry, 1983 on October 1983. Sorry.
Okay.
Mình mua đi.
Okay. And so 83 to early
Yeah.
84.
Rồi
Right.
ở nhà người ta tháng 3
Ừ.
năm 84 này chế trở về Minnesota.
Then she back to Minnesota by March 1984.
And so when you came back to Minnesota, where did you go? Back to St. Cloud? Or
Bà hỏi
Minneapolis?
là khi về Minnesota có về St. Cloud không? Không.
Ở
No.
Minneapolis.
No, she stayed in Minneapolis.
Okay. And were you right in this part of Minneapolis when you came back, or where in Minneapolis?
Lúc đó ở đâu? Ở
Lúc
thành
đó-
phố nào?
Ở Minneapolis là chứ không nhớ thành phố nào, mấy đứa nó nhớ, nhưng mà về ở chung đỡ
Trước khi ấy đó.
trước khi đi về phải không?
Trước khi.
Đi về ở nhà người bạn đỡ,
Nhà
người bạn
người bạn.
nên là
Nhà-
nhà ông Long đó là ở đỡ 2 tầng với chị Nghĩa đó.
Cũng Minneapolis phải
Ở
không?
Minneapolis cười đó là người ta ở apartment mà người ta có 2 phòng à, người ta mới dỡ cửa sổ cho táp mẹ con mình tôi chung vô.
Okay, so Sarah, the first day back to Minnesota, then she stayed with the friend. The friend, his name is Long, and Oung. He just, has his apartment. Then so crowded. Then she tried to help, my sister and her children from begin with for 2 weeks before they rent their own apartment.
Okay.
In Minneapolis still.
Okay. And what were you doing for work then?
Trong giai đoạn đó chế làm gì?
Làm kim chỉ, lãnh cái đồ của kim chỉ về làm là sơ tinh gì đó.
Ok.
Làm kim chỉ ở
Đi làm
nhà
bánh.
chế không có biết lái xe thì con nó đi lấy kim chỉ về cho
Ừ.
làm, lấy trong hãng về làm rồi con đi học. Rồi cuối tuần chỉ làm bánh bán nữa.
Okay, on that period of time, I don't know you familiar with, like someone they get a subcontract, like you got a little plastic bag, you put a button and a net and the needle in there,
Yep.
just offer to the guest hotel.
Those little mending
Right. People
Okay.
send that work to, her. Then her children work at home. Beside that, she just, make the deep fire cake to bring into store and let that to sell it.
Okay, so that was the start
Yeah,
of the restaurant, was you were making these baked goods
Yeah.
at home and
Right,
selling
right,
them from
right.
home.
right.
Okay. Had you had any experience cooking, baking as work? I mean, outside of, feeding your family before?
Dạ, ở bên
Bà
nội
hỏi là
mình thì-
ngoài cái chuyện mà cái kinh nghiệm trong vấn đề nấu nướng làm bánh rồi thì chế có cái gì khác không? Có cái kinh nghiệm gì khác nữa không?
nó không chứ không có kinh nghiệm gì khác, nhưng
No.
mà khi mà làm bánh, làm ở tiệm xong rồi có cái đầu óc là giống như là biết mình làm già rồi làm cái nghề này thì nó không có tới già, nó cũng không có tiền, thì làm mót tiền được chút đỉnh, nó có cái đầu kinh doanh là kêu con nó sẽ mua nhà đầu tư đặng mà nó già mình có tiền mình sống như thế, chứ không có đầu óc kinh nghiệm đầu óc kinh doanh, nhưng mà từ từ mình mới làm được á.
Sister real experience on bakery or cooking is not. She's just good enough to prepare food for the family. But without any other experiences, limited on communication, knowledge, skill, she doesn't know what else she can do. Rather practice on what she doing, then she start to thinking, yes, open the small restaurant from begin with.
So it was an opportunity for you to make a living, given that you didn't speak English as well, or so it was a chance for you to make a living. And did you say, I think you said, and I know Sen talked about it a bit, that when you were doing the mending kits, that the kids were helping, all the kids were doing that at home?
Yes,
as well?
yes.
So it was a
yes,
whole
yes,
family?
Yes. That not even were told when I just came to visit. Yeah, I saw my
Con
niece
con
and
coi
nephew.
tivi nữa.
All of them just together on that time. Like do some kind of that job. They get very little pay by piecework.
Piecework.
Yep.
Yep. So
All
you-
of them, anticipate and doing so.
Tới đi học về làm tới giờ đi ngủ thôi.
So it seemed like did it seem like, I shouldn't put words in your mouth, did it seem like baking and opening the deli and the bakery was a better job option for you? It would be a better work situation than continuing with the piecework?
Bà nói trong lúc làm cái đó thì chế nghĩ tới cái chuyện là mở cái đáo ly đó thì có thể có cơ hội để làm nhiều hơn là làm cái kim chỉ đó, đúng không? Yes, that she believe. The only thing that time she have no guarantee, but she feeling if the deli can be growing, it much better than doing the mending.
And were your kids helping with the baking and the deli and before you
Bà hỏi là
opened?
cái lúc làm bánh với làm deli bên đó thì mấy đứa nhỏ vẫn cùng chế làm. Yes, all of them, yes.
So again, it was a family.
Yeah, family.
Everybody in.
Yes. Yeah, that's how Vietnamese and our family, culture, we are together, family oriented and distribution together, then make something going on.
So tell me about when you first opened across the street. What was that? How did you find the spot? How did you get
Bà
it
nói
there?
là kể cho bà nghe cái chuyện làm sao để biết cái chỗ đó mà mướn.
Tại vì với làm bánh ở nhà chứ đem giao, rồi cái tiệm chỗ đó chứ giao cho cái tiệm đó, rồi giao rồi quen. Giao hồi năm 84 cho tới năm 89 mà chế thấy chỗ đó là chế thích. Rồi chế cũng đi hỏi mướn, đại thì người ta cho.
Okay.
Ban đầu người ta cũng sợ không có tiền trả người ta nữa đó.
She said like the reason she know that because that time she deep fire the cake at home and bring to the market there named A Châu, A one word CHAU, A
Okay.
Châu market.
So she'd been delivering.
Yeah,
your
she'd been
baked goods
delivering
there.
that.
Okay.
Then she think this is a good spot instead of like we just make and send to them. Why don't we just try to open, little play and do it there? Then that's how she did.
Okay.
But at first, she had no credit to rent that place. The owner a little bit hesitates, you know, he not sure. My sister able to make the payment, the rent payment, but someone, you know, guarantee and co-sign, then finally they rent to her.
Okay. Excuse me.
That interesting, isn't it?
It is. So, I'm not going to pronounce this right. Ah Chow? Was that the
Yes,
store that
yes,
was there?
yes,
Ah
the
Chow
name-
was
the name.
Vietnamese.
Yes, he's a Vietnamese.
Okay. So,
He is a officer, you know, from Vietnam, called Vietnam Cộng hòa, VNCH. He's a, you know, officer.
okay. And so he had come over and done the same
Yeah.
thing.
No,
come
he,
over
yeah,
opened
he,
his store.
he left the country 75
right away.
right away.
Got it.
Yep.
Okay. But-
Other than that, he got in trouble if he were there.
yeah, I bet.
He from South Kanto, just about 120 kilometers from where I live.
Okay. Okay. So, were there other at that time when you opened the deli? Were there other Vietnamese bakeries, restaurants, grocery stores? Obviously, Ah Chow was there. Others on Nicollet?
Lúc đó là đâu có ai bán bánh. No, it's not. Just
No.
Ít lắm không
No.
có, không có nhận.
just only her.
So you were the first
Cũng có mà ít.
in 1989 when you opened.
Yeah, 1989.
Okay. Do you remember your first day of business?
Chứ có nhớ cái ngày đầu tiên
When it
là
was
ngày
open?
ngày nào không?
Nhớ ngày 20 tháng 8 năm 89.
August 20th, 1989.
Did you have lots of business, lots of customers?
That's interesting. Russia is nothing but the truth. I did not know by my were there, but she told me at the first day, the whole day, only $20.
20 bucks.
Yeah.
So it started off quietly.
Yep.
Không, mình
Very
không biết quảng
quiet.
cáo, mình cũng không có quảng cáo gì hết thì đâu có ai biết, từ từ người ta ăn ngon người ta mới tới người ta mua.
Then since that day up to date, and you can see, it's a big difference.
Huge difference. I mean, you've been 89, 99, almost 20 years, or I'm sorry, almost 30 years.
Mhm.
And you're in, I see Quang listed in every best of issue. Just a recent one was, again, Quang was named the best Vietnamese restaurant or best something. I mean, so it's been very, very successful since that first day of
I
$20.
hate to say that, but I mean, I vouch on myself, they say word of mouth. That the best advertising. That time I recall, and it's not too far from here, the big restaurant. They get, you know, all kind of advertising, but I mean, they died out. And my sister, Dali, just like stuck like a little dot, but they grow up. That means word of mouth always there, believe it or not. That's the best advertising. Just like I share with my niece and nephew, I say, if you're not ready, if you're not good enough, you try to advertise, bring in more people, see how clumsy you are, you die instantly or you die sooner or later. Believe
So
it or
better
not.
to get everything
That's
set
right.
up and let word of mouth
Gradually,
do its job.
just let the product prove itself. Customer always smart, smarter than people think. But I mean, a lot of time people try to pull them by advertising. This is good. You have to advertise. But advertise cannot be, you know, contradict with what you offer to consumer. That's what I believe.
You have to be
And
able to
always true.
provide what you're advertising,
Yep.
right? So that brings me to a question. Who were your initial customers? So for the first few years you were open, were they Vietnamese people in the area? Were they just neighborhood residents?
See?
Who was it?
That's very interesting. I can answer that, you know, on her behalf. At first, she just only can think of, yes, Vietnamese food. We just offer for Vietnamese. Then that time, we always think this is limited right there. just survival or grow that much. But up to there, you can see 80% our customer now is Caucasian or international.
And do you think again that's a function of just word of mouth?
Yes, yes, that can be true. That can be true. Just like you or me, or even he sitting there, when we go to the other country, something we don't know from begin with, then how you follow, then you think you can get a place to it. You can see the crowd. We don't know, but it's hey, that place is crowd. Must be they do something good. That normal common sense. That makes sense to you?
Absolutely.
All right.
You don't want to go where nobody else is.
That's right,
'Cause
that's
nobody's
right.
there for a reason.
Right. That's why specifically in the restaurant, if the crowd, then everything fresh, day in, day out. If the place so quiet, they cannot throw every food, away. They have to keep up. They serve you, then it's not fresh.
Right.
Nó giống như bữa nay
Commonly.
ngày nghỉ đó là gia đình mình phải đi ra.
That make sense. You agree?
It does.
Bây giờ mình phải ra mình coi mình phải nghĩ ngày mình bán đắt thêm ta đâu nghỉ đâu mà mình phải nghĩ rằng mình.
She
coi
tried
rồi.
to share with you. Even today, we close the day. That doesn't mean we take a rest. All of my niece and nephew come here to prepare for the next day.
Yeah, I
Okay.
can
By
see
the
that.
way,
Everybody's here.
You can see that.
So how big a space was it across the street? How was it?
Well,
ở
then,
trong ở ngoài có 700 square feet.
At first, only enough for 2 tables.
2 tables.
Then she doing a little bit gradually. They just cut her a little bit, bigger, until the biggest one is 770 square feet.
770 square feet
Yes.
was the biggest one
Yeah,
across the
yeah,
street while
yeah.
we were across the street. And what were you, so it was Quang Pastry and Deli? Was that the name?
Yes,
of it?
yes,
Pastry and
yes,
Deli.
yes.
Okay, so it was a little bit different than a full service restaurant. What were you selling?
Just say it again. I didn't.
What were you selling at that time? This is a full menu, full restaurant. For the pastry and deli, was it mostly baked goods? What was she selling?
Just okay. Then that time she offer pretty much the same right now, but I mean less item than now.
Okay.
Before less item than now.
So it wasn't just pastries, it was
No.
also pho and,
Yeah. Yeah.
hot food.
But I mean not that good as today, because experience is to make it different. The best learning from mistaken. That means she always listen to the customer feedback. Then she start to improving and learning from some other to share with her. Then how she make it today is much better than the past 30 years.
So what if the restaurant has, excuse me, is known for one thing, like its signature dish, the thing that everybody comes here for, what is it? What is the most popular item?
Bà hỏi là cái quán cái nhà hàng này là chế bán á, thực khách tới đây đó là họ thích cái món gì nhất?
Họ thích ăn phở, họ thích ăn cơm, thích súp nhưng mà chả giò gỏi cuốn hình như là món nào mỗi người thích mỗi cái khẩu vị nhưng mà món nào chế cũng bán đắt hết trơn, nhất là súp thì chế bán đắt nhất.
Okay, she said like everything she made here is sold out and sellable, but the most recognized is the noodle soup. Yeah, noodle soup and rice combination, rice. Spring roll, egg roll, I mean, you name it. Every other item is sold out.
So good.
Uh,
I know. I've been here many times.
by the way, then this is Michael. This is the last one, the one born
one
in
who was
St. Cloud.
born.
Yeah.
So and that brings me, that Michael's here,
Uh-huh.
brings me to the question. So when you opened the pastry and deli across the street, were the kids still involved, still helping
Yep.
run the business?
Nó đi
So-
học rồi cuối tuần nó
Yep.
giúp à.
She said like after school, every want to go there and work.
And were you living in Whittier at this time when you opened?
Lúc
In
đó
Minnesota?
là chứ ở đâu? Ở Maplewood.
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 Okay. Okay. So you had moved from the apartment. Were you in a house in
Yes.
Maplewood? Okay. So you had moved from the apartment, bought a house.
Mhm.
Okay. And how is it that you moved across the street here? Why the move? I mean, bigger.
Interesting story. Bà hỏi chế là sao từ đó chỗ nhỏ xíu mà mua qua đây.
Tại vì khách nó đông quá, chế cũng mong ước là khi mà kiếm được cái chỗ gần gần ở đây đặng mà mua. Lúc đó là muốn mua hay lúc muốn mướn cũng được, nhưng mà đó là rất là may là ông Palmer là ông bán. Có một người chỉ, ông không có đăng lên mà có người chỉ mình qua mình điền đơn. Thì mình hỏi thì ổng điền cái form đó rồi ổng coi, tại vì hồi đó mình ở bên kia mình mua đồ supply của ổng thấy ông cũng thương, một người trả giá bằng chế mà trả trước mà ổng không bán cho chế.
Ok.
Ổng thấy chế con đông mà là giống như là ổng thấy ổng thương người chịu khó làm vậy đó.
This is an interesting story. I know part of it, but I don't know all until I will call up here. When she was there, just a little thing, but she always got the dream, and her dream, try to looking for a bigger place because that time, a lot of customer cannot handle it with the small, space. Then across the street, used to be a Palm Brother Restaurant Supply. Then Palm Brother and the owner, she looked at her family and situation, and he know the family is working really hard. That time unlisted, but Palm Brother want to sell in his place. Then some other people want to buy it, but he just reserved to sell for Huang, Delhi. And my sister, feel, hey, this is the right chance. Then she told me and called me, come up here to talk and bid the price to purchase this since 1996. That's why I recall.
Is that when you moved here?
No.
Okay.
1996, we actually, signed to purchase the building. Then we start to demolition and remodel and build up the restaurant. Then we moved 1999.
Okay. And Michael, were you living in Minnesota by this time? Or were you in California?
Okay, this is another interesting. Then I may not have a chance to go up here, but that time, I don't know that good or bad. I got my marriage broke up.
Aha.
And then how I come up here. I'm stay up here until 2005, and I go back there again. Then now I come back here, back and forth.
Okay.
Yeah, when I come up here, and she took over, the ownership of the place. Took us 3 years
3 years
to save
to get
up
it ready.
time and money to get ready.
And were you still operating
Yes, still
across the
operate
street
there.
to keep
Yep.
an income
Yep.
while you were?
Right.
So was this a brand new building?
No. This
Okay.
this is. You may not imagine like you look like this is, but before just right here, just like a very old storage.
Okay.
And the other side, the building we remodeling. I still have the, the picture of the old one.
Okay.
Yeah,
So you own this building and that
Right.
strip there?
Yeah, attached to the.
Okay. So when you opened in 1999, were you busy right away? Did all your customers follow you and you filled up the bigger dining area?
Bà nói là lúc mà mua bên đó thì tất cả khách hàng qua đây hết. Yes, that's the big advantage because we don't lose
Yeah.
the customer. Better parking, better space for them to sit.
Now, do you have other people working for you besides family, other staff?
Bà hỏi con ngoài family có người làm.
Có chứ.
Yes, yeah, we have it.
And do you know about how many employees you have now?
Hiện tại bây giờ là bao nhiêu người tất cả trong
Part time, full time thì khoảng chừng 15 người. Không có ân trước ân sau, khoảng chừng 15 người. Còn không có tính gia đình.
She said like include the family, about 15 people.
15.
Yeah, work.
Okay. Okay. What you said earlier that one way you learn about how to make a good business and a good restaurant is by mistakes, through mistakes. Has there been anything that you've tried that just hasn't worked out?
Bà hỏi là chế có cố gắng mà có cái gì bị trở ngại mà nó không có xảy ra như ý không? Just repeat the first part of
Yeah,
your
so
question.
you were saying earlier that one way you learn how to be a good business owner is by your mistakes, right?
Mhm.
So I guess I was just curious as to, what has not worked out so well, but that ultimately you learned from.
Bà hỏi là cũng như là cái kinh nghiệm đã dạy cho chế từ một cái người không phải là có kinh nghiệm về nhà hàng mà để trở thành như ngày hôm nay, thì ngoài cái chuyện mà coi như là mình làm trật rồi mình sửa sai, mình cố gắng để mà khắc phục, thì ngoài ra có cái trở ngại gì nữa không?
Mình làm sai tại mình cũng không có cũng có trở ngại là cũng đi nhà cửa xa xôi quá, đi qua đây đi ra đây nó cũng hơi khó, vậy đó nó trở ngại cái đường đi làm á, mỗi ngày nhiều khi tiết cơi để mình đi phải 2 tiếng đồng hồ, rồi đến chừng rồi đó thì mình mới quyết định mình mua cái nhà ở gần đây đặng mà chứ không biết lái xe, đặng chế đi ra đây sớm như thôi, chứ cũng cơm ăn việc làm thì nó cũng không có trở ngại gì.
Okay, she said like for the work itself, then she gained through experience by the mistake into improve. Then she doesn't have any other problem beside that. The only thing that time is she stay far away from Maplewood. She have to, driving struggle with the weather, snow. Sometimes take a little bit, late.
Chứ không
And
biết lái xe nữa.
afterward, that problem can be resolved by she thinking buy another house to stay closer. And
So
take
she
more-
moved closer
Yeah, closer.
to make it easier.
Easier, right.
Not have to worry about the
Yeah,
drive and
right.
the traffic and the
Mẹ chứ
weather.
cũng đâu có biết lái.
But up to there, she doesn't know how to drive.
That's all right. That is all right. So, what have been some other major milestones in the history of the restaurant besides moving and expanding? What other major events have happened in the history of Quang, the restaurant?
Bà hỏi cái điều gì là cái thuận lợi nhất khi mà chế mu từ bên kia sang bên này?
Thuận lợi nhất là chỗ này nó có nhiều bậc kinh,
À,
rồi nó ngay mặt đường sáng
à,
nữa.
à.
Nói là khách đi qua đi lại nó nhìn thấy đông người, nó càng ngày khách càng đông.
Okay.
Ở chỗ bên kia thì
The
nó
answer
hạn.
is that what she felt. She moved from across street from here. The major advantage is a parking. The secondly, more feasibility.
Right, because you're
Yeah,
right, you're
right, right,
facing the
right.
street rather than the parking
Right,
lot.
right.
Bên kia thì trong hẻm.
Yeah.
That's the major thing.
Now, as I was saying earlier, this restaurant has gotten so many good reviews
Uh-huh.
over the years, so many. How do you do any, I guess you already answered the question, but have you worked a lot with the press? I know you've been interviewed for other TV shows and for other projects. Tell me a little bit about your interaction with the press or the newspapers, or how
Bà
do people
nói-
come here and find you?
Bà nói là những cái tờ báo cũng như những người tới đây để viết những cái quảng cáo cho chế đó là làm sao chế biết họ là chế tìm họ bằng cách nào.
Chứ không có biết họ.
Rồi, rồi. See, this is my answer on her behalf.
Không biết ta.
Just what I believe. most of the press, most of the writer, you know, willing to offer and read that for free on their behalf.
chứ không có quảng cáo.
Because of, she tried to make them, at first place, they met them just like a customer come here to, you know, dine in or lunch at the restaurant. Then the way my niece and nephew served them, our philosophy tried to make the customer become your friend. That,
Just for who?
yeah,
all
yeah,
customers.
all customers.
Doesn't matter if they're
Right.
from the press or not.
But some of them turned out they are the writer, they are reporter. That's how they find them.
So again, it goes back to you don't have to buy
No,
advertising.
no,
you,
no.
You offer a good
No,
service,
no.
a good product, and it takes care of itself.
To be honest with you, believe it
Không
or
có trả
not,
tiền
just
năm
for
nào.
example, like the singer. When the singer, they try to give the audience, you know, hear their good voice or their performance, not the money involved, they try to do the best. If you have to pay the singer, you know, to run the show, they may up to the limit. That I can see. Did I told you from the beginning when I'm very happy, I'm you know, I cannot hold my tear. I say, if California, the famous writer written that article spends a lot of money, but they may not take it. Just like you. If you not ready to give, nobody can buy you. Is that correct? And same as me. If I feel like I'm not going to open or answer your question, you cannot buy me. But when I'm willing, just like I talked to you today, if someday on the video, I don't care. People, you know, Communist Party, they may not like the way I talk. Hey, but look, I did not talk ill about them. I talked the truth. But the truth hurting them. But I cannot say anything different. And same thing with the writer or the press. Some press, some writer, they write something because they get paid. But someone has said, no, I'm just write it. Pay or not, doesn't matter. I hope you agree.
So almost 30 years now you've been open. That's a long time. It's a long time in the restaurant business to be open. How involved are you in the restaurant on a day-to-day basis? Are you here working every day? Are you letting your kids take over?
Nói chế làm mỗi ngày, rồi khi mà nghỉ thai đó thì chế giao để cho mấy đứa nhỏ. Nhưng mà mỗi ngày sáng sớm chế cũng ra đây chế làm, rồi hồi là chế đóng cửa lâu lâu thì chế đi với cái sành thì mấy đứa nó coi. Nhưng mà giờ chế giao lại cho mấy đứa nó rồi chế không có làm quyền nữa, nhưng mà làm giúp, bữa nào cũng ra giúp 6 ngày một tuần vậy đó.
Okay, this is interesting question. This is true is she's a workaholic. Either she know or
Did she say that?
Yeah, or her kid it can handle it, but she still want to come every day.
Every day.
Every day she just monitor and watching over, and she just try to making sure everything do it right. That's how she is right now. But she know she not supposed to, and she needs some time, for her rest, because she already, worked too much. But still, that's how
Yeah.
she is.
Hard to, yeah, it's just your way of life for a long time. So you were here, I want to shift gears a
Okay.
little bit and talk a little bit about the neighborhood.
Okay.
Since this is a project about Eat Street as a
Okay.
whole. So you were here, in fact, so you signed the purchase agreement for this spot in 1996. It took you a few years to get it up and ready, so you were still working across the street. So you were doing that, this renovation, still running the deli across the street while the streetscape project was happening, while Nicollet Avenue was all torn up and they were in the process of branding it
Yep.
Eat Street.
Yep.
Do you remember that process? Were you involved in any of those conversations about, how to improve the neighborhood, how to improve Nicollet Avenue?
Well, then, I'm not every, day or every month, but I mean I'm just back and forth. Compared to the past 30 years, hey, I can see each street is completely changing their image.
Yeah. So how, even for you, who
Yep.
were kind of back and forth,
Yep.
how has the neighborhood changed since you first opened?
I mean, Jesus Christ, if 30 years ago, when you say you have your deli in here, and people look at you, yeah, but not now. Right now, just like a go in my.
So why did you have any problems in those early years when you first opened? Did you have any problems with anybody in the neighborhood? Any issues?
Bà hỏi là trong cái giai đoạn đó là ở cái khu này là chế có bị trở ngại. Yes, yes. Like gangster, like sorry that I'm saying that, prostitution, robbery. I mean, okay.
So lots of street
Yeah,
crime.
even when across street, some gangster, just shooting, drive-by shooting. That talking about in the past, years ago.
So that's why people, when they
Scared,
heard
right.
that you were had
But
your
not
deli
now,
here.
not now.
So what changed? What do you think
Nãy
made
giờ
it
cái
better?
ông cảnh sát đó, ông giống như là ông đi lại cái bọn ông coi đó, ông May đó, ông coi cái khu này, ông mới nó bắn rồi đó thì cũng không có sao, tại nó ăn nó không trả tiền đòi nó bắn.
She said like on that time, when the gangster, hanging around, and one time he, shooting there, then one of the sergeant named May Lavai, then he looked at the family situation, then he monitored the neighborhood here, then he really supported the family. That how everything, still holding on the normal
there-
condition.
There was a
And-
police officer
yeah,
who took
yeah.
an interest.
Yeah, interest.
Ông nhận thằng Úc đó là con
Then
nuôi.
he just adopt Michael and take Michael like adopt son.
Oh,
That's how
Right.
he much care for
Cái đường
the
này á.
Hoàng Delhi
okay.
family.
So you took a very personal
Yeah,
interest
yeah.
in the whole family. and
Yeah.
Michael
Ông
in
thấy nó
particular.
nhỏ, nó mới có mấy tuổi mà nó phải đi làm vậy, ông thấy ông tội nghiệp.
That time he patrols, then after the incident taken place and he know whole story, that time he looked Michael still very young, working hard, then he give really true for his love to Michael and took Michael as the adoption.
And what was his name again?
Michael Lavai.
Levi.
He's a sergeant of Minneapolis. He retired. Right now he
Okay.
work for the transit,
Oh, okay.
officer. Michael
Tổng tốt
Lavai.
lắm.
Okay.
Không có ổng mình đâu có ngày này.
That should put it from him.
Yeah.
Then if he not supported that time, maybe
Mình không có không còn tinh thần đâu.
we lost the concentration
Mhm.
and mentally, illness because the shooting.
And so the shooting was right at the deli?
Right. Yep.
In the, did it hit the
It's glass.
inside?
Yeah.
Broke
No.
the glass?
Yeah, they broken the glass. They shoot.
Did anybody get hurt?
No. The only thing she said, like, gangster come in, they eat it, but they don't want to pay. Ask them to pay. That's how they shoot.
So, I mean, it was during business hours, people were there, or,
Bà nói lúc đó là khách hàng đang ngồi ăn hay là
Có 1-2 người ha.
just this
Ở
is
đó nhỏ,
this is only few customer in there, but nobody get hurt.
well, that's good. Do you remember when Nicollet Avenue became Eat Street? Do you remember the change? Or, the article comes out in the paper in 1997 calling this part of Nicollet Avenue Eat Street. Do you remember that? Was it important to your business in any way?
Bà nói từ khi năm 1997 đó, khi cái đường này gọi là cái đường East Street, thì cái sự phát triển chế thấy nó có khác với lại trên giai đoạn trước.
Nhiều lắm.
Yes, she said yes. When they turned out, it's a good sign, and a lot of customer pass by and getting busier.
So it was a positive thing
Yeah.
for the restaurant to be part of Eat Street. And do you have close working relationships with other business owners, restaurant owners on Nicollet?
Bà nói là khi ở cái vùng này thì đối với những cái nhà hàng, chủ nhà hàng khác thì chứ cũng có một cái quan hệ thân mật thiết tốt. Yes.
Yeah.
Tại vì người ta làm thì người ta làm, mình làm thì mình làm, mình đâu có
Yeah, she said like she got a very good, friendship and relationship as a business owner, because they do different things, different menu offer than she does.
Right. So it's not viewed as competition so much as just our goal is bringing people into the neighborhood and they'll try different.
Bà nói là mình không có cái sự là giành giật khách hàng. No, she said this customer come in the area, they got a choice, got help. Maybe today at Wang, tomorrow in Rainbow, next day in some Mexican menu. That's a good thing.
And so, do you think that one of the things I've heard from other people and have been reading about is that it was really all of you business owners, restaurant owners, who really helped turn the neighborhood around. It was the police certainly who did their part in kind of managing the crime, but that it really came from business owners and restaurant owners along Nicollet Avenue that really helped improve the neighborhood. Do you think that's accurate?
Bà hỏi đó là một phần là do sự nhiệt tình của cảnh sát về mặt mà phát triển trên cái con đường này. Thứ hai đó có những cái lý do gì nữa bà cần biết. Đó, thì theo tôi để tôi trả lời cho bà, đó là chế có thấy cái gì cần phải nói không? Đó, thì đó.
Thấy thì giống như một phần thì cảnh sát nó ông giúp mình, và một phần nữa thì
Trên
ở
con
trên
đường
này
tập
con
trung.
đường này là nhiều thức ăn của mà nhiều nước, thì khách nó càng ngày khách hàng càng đông, phải đi vòng vòng để phải ăn.
Okay, then the answer is it helped, combination. Just for the society and safety, issue, yes, did the biggest contribute and watched by the officer. Secondly, a lot of interpreter, offer on this street, one stop to help all. Just like a market, like a, hair salon, attorney, you name it. That means this, street and this area attract the customer come by one stop to have all. That's how it grows.
So you can just come to Nicollet Avenue and do
Everything
you
want.
need.
That's right.
Right here.
Jewelry store, supermarket, and then, okay.
So let's see think about how to ask this. What do you think is Kwang's role, the restaurant's role in this community?
Bà hỏi là cái sự phát triển của Quang trong cái community này nó như thế nào?
Coi như là người nào là ăn nhiều quá nha.
Tức là nó muốn nói là để so sánh trong cái vùng này thì cái sự phát triển của cái mật độ cái nhà hàng Quang này sẽ làm được đóng góp cái gì trong cái này? Cái đó thì chế nói đi rồi tôi trả lời rồi.
Nói là đóng góp được cái gì trong mình
sự
làm
phát
được,
triển.
Mình làm được giống như mình phát triển, mình làm được nhiều thì mình được đóng thế nhiều cho chính phủ. Đó là với lại ở đây mình đóng thế nhiều chính phủ, mình được đóng thấy nhiều cho chính phủ phát triển là chỗ đó.
Okay, you do that. Okay, then this is the answer. On this street, if you can see weekly and monthly on the head count, if you been here and you know every weekly and how much and how many customer coming in, that is part of it of the standout wine restaurant drawing people, the customer into this quite a bit of
Yeah.
number, like daily basic and weekly basic,
Yeah.
repeated, that help the neighbor growing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So what do you envision for the future of your restaurant?
Bà hỏi là chú sẽ nghĩ gì về cái tương lai của cái cái nhà hàng này?
Mà thì bây giờ thì coi như là tất cả mọi người thích ăn đồ Việt Nam nhiều lắm, đa số là thích đồ ăn Việt Nam của mình.
Ok.
Thì mình nghĩ là tương lai là những người trẻ đó sẽ thích đồ ăn mình.
Okay. Okay, she said like based on the feedback of the customer come to wine restaurant, they said they can have their stomach full, but just a soup and vegetable, that part of it of the healthy food. Then she believe this is growing, still growing.
Absolutely. I agree. What about, what would you like to see for the future of Eat Street?
Bà hỏi là Chế sẽ nghĩ gì và muốn nhìn thấy cái gì trong cái tương lai của cái con đường East Street này?
Con đường Street này Chế nghĩ là nó sẽ phát triển hơn bây giờ nữa.
She said là now and near future, and she want to see continue growing on East Street, and she believe that come true.
Hopefully. So I just have one last question for you, and then if there's anything else you want to talk about, we can do that too. But my kind of wrap-up question for both of you
Okay.
is what would you like other people to know about your experiences as immigrants, as refugees, who have come and helped make Minnesota the place that it is?
Và nói đây là một cái câu hỏi cuối cùng để cái cảm tưởng của mình nghĩ gì về những người tị nạn như mình sẽ tham gia vào trong cái sự phát triển trên cái cộng đồng và trên cái con đường Nicollet East Street này.
Mà sau này đó là lớp trẻ nó đâu có muốn làm nhà hàng đâu, nó đâu có.
Okay.
Thì mẹ Chế khó trả lời lắm mình nói.
She said like she doesn't have the crystal ball to see through what it look like, but she always wishing the immigrant like us continuously working hard, contribute, moving in, make the area getting bigger and better.
How about you, Michael? Anything you want to add?
So do I. Myself, just like I said, I'm very proud of, immigrant called both people like us. I want to see more and more to give in hand to, and genetic to make American better and bigger, rather than just kick back, relax, and rely on something in the negative side. I'm proud of people working hard, really learning and doing something for the society make America always getting bigger and better.
Is there anything else either of you want to add or say, something we didn't talk about that you want to get on the record?
To be honest with you, then time is a limit, but too many things I cannot think of, my head right now. But if you asking, just like you lead into the conversation, then I can, chip in what I know.
How about Furlong? Anything you
Hoặc là
want to
Chế có
add?
muốn nói thêm cái gì không?
Không chứ không chứ đâu.
She said, yeah, too many things in her head, but it's the same way like I just told you.
Yeah, it's hard to tell a 30-year story in
Yep.
90 minutes.
Yep. And,
Well, thank you both so
Okay.
so much for
you are
agreeing to
welcome,
do this.
Jana.
Thank you.
Thank you, both of you too.
Yeah.
And we met today. It's just like, we not try to do something just like just make for money.
Right.
We just enjoy. And I hope you understand same pace like I do. I remember my teacher before. He told me, I teaching you or not, I still get paid until I get laid up. What I feel, I need to help you. Just like you are writing and he's sitting there to do the picture, right? Hey, you cannot do the best if you not enjoy it.
That's right. That is true. Well, thank you.
You are
Again,
welcome.
I very much appreciate it.